Hello and welcome everyone to Free School Guru. Today we are going to learn about simple past tense. So this is the second session in the series of tense. So in the last lesson we learned about simple present tense. Today we will understand what a simple past tense is. Okay. So what is a simple past tense? So unlike a simple present tense, which talks about the action happening presently or the action that happens regularly every day, simple past tense is an action that took place in the past. Okay, that has already happened. So an action or an event that has already happened is generally described as a simple past tense, or an action that expresses or that tells us about an habit of the past. It is a simple past tense. So if I were to give you an example, let's pick the first scenario, which says an action that took place in the past. So Michael went to Canada yesterday. Okay, so this has already happened. So this is a simple past tense. And the second scenario is when the action happened regularly in the past. So what we can say, we walked to the park every day. Right? We walked to the park every day, which means in the past we regularly used to walk to the park. Okay? So let's write the definition first so that we can relate to it, and then we'll try to learn with some more examples. So simple past tense, as I said, tells us about an action that happened in the past. Okay, and then the second thing that you should also know is tells us about an action that happened regularly in the past. Okay, make sense? So let's take some examples now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you, I'm actually going to write some present tense sentences, and then we'll try to convert them into simple past tense. So we say Amy goes to school every day. Okay. Let's write one more example, and then we'll try to talk about it. Mary plays with her doll. Okay. Now these both are what kind of sentences? So let's look at the first one. Amy goes to school every day, which means the action happens every day. It happens today, it happens tomorrow, it will happen every day, which means it's a simple present tense, right? The next sentence, Mary plays with her doll, which means she plays with her doll. So this is the action which is expressing present form. So she's playing with her doll. I'm just underlining the words which represent the present tense identification. Now, if we were to convert the first sentence, which is Amy goes to school every day, into a simple past tense, what do we write? We'll say Amy went to school every day. Okay. What did we do? We converted goes into went. Now went identifies that it's a action which used to happen every day in the past. Okay, so an action that happened regularly in the past. Now let's look at the second one. It says Mary plays with her doll. Now if I were to convert this into a simple past tense, I would say Mary played with her doll. Simple, right? Again, I think you already got it by now. Yes, what I did is I converted plays into a simple past tense form. So the action, what you have to do is when you have to convert a sentence from one form to the other form, you always change the verb of that sentence. So verb of the sentence in Mary plays with her doll is plays, because that's an action. Now you are just changing the form of the verb to convert it into a past. So plays, and you're saying played. So rule. Coming to rules. For past tense, add ed, okay, to the verb. Okay, so this is true for most of the verbs. Okay, so when you add ed to the end of a verb, you are basically converting into a past tense form. I will write past tense form, and I'll give you examples here. Okay, so example is walk. The past tense would be walked. Play, played. Okay, ask, asked. Close, closed. Right, so these are all, so in all these verbs, what we did is we added ed to change the form into a past tense. Now there is an exception to this rule. So some of the rules, for some of the verbs, you just cannot add ed. So you have to use the correct form. Okay, so for example, if I give you words like, so let me write this, ed cannot be used with all the verb. Ed cannot be used with all the verb. Example, fall, fell. So fall is a simple present form, and if we convert into a past, it becomes fell. What else? Stand, stood, do, did, is, was, and take, took. Okay, so if you notice, these are all verb forms wherein you just cannot add ed. Okay, is that okay? Yes. So you have to always remember, simple past tense, you have to make sure, in order to identify, if you are given a statement and you're asked to identify if this is simple past tense or not, look at the verb. Okay, look at the form of the verb. If the form of the verb has s or es, it cannot be simple past tense. However, if the form of the verb has ed at the end of the verb, or it's a second form of went. So for go, so for example, went. So went is the past form of go. Okay. So in this example, I would say go went. So go is the present form and went is the past form. Okay. So always remember that whenever you have to identify the past form in a sentence, look for the verb. Okay. So fell, stood, did, was, took. These are all past form of the verb. So how about if I give you some words and I ask you to convert them into the past form, and then that way I think it'll be a good exercise to see how much you have learned. Okay, so the question is, or I will say, practice change the words into past tense form. Okay, so I'll give you the words now. Spend, stop, come, begin, say, lay, hang, run, slow, and let me give you one more. Meet. So these are all the words that are present form. Okay, that are the present form verbs. Now what I want you to do is to think about it, read a little bit more about simple past tense, give it some more thought, and then try to convert all these words, try to change all these are actually called change the verbs. Okay, change all these verbs into a past tense form. Okay, so use all these words, try to spend some time, again replay the lesson that we just learned today, and then think about it. Okay, so this is a good way for you to do a self-learning in terms of how to change a one form of the verb into a simple past tense. And again, any questions or any help that you need, leave a comment on my site. Take care and good luck.